Good morning. For those of you who may not know me yet, my name is Kaylin. I am the product manager for SimpleConsign, and I'm very excited to show you some things we have uh, going live here shortly. Some features that I hope you'll be just as excited about as I am. The very first thing I wanted to show you today is a UI change that we're making. This is going to pave the way for some additional changes we have planned in the future. And it's a pretty minor change. We're impacting these tabs here, and we're making it so that these screens have the ability to take up more room so that you have more space to move around and view your data. So this is what it looks like currently. This is current SimpleConsign, and this is what that change looks like. So as you can see, tabs are in the same place in the same order. They're just positioned a little differently. We've still got that blue highlight to let you know which tab is selected, and we've got additional space here. We've expanded the width of the screen. So we'll do before and after, just like we do at the eye doctor's office. So this is what it looks like currently, and this is what we're moving to. Again, everything's the same. If we even log into a terminal, let's do that on both. Again, all of the tabs are in the same order. The UI just looks a little bit different. And again, that's to pave the way for some future changes, but also so that we can take advantage of more of this screen space. All right, good morning. We've got some people from some far off lands like Montana. That's pretty cool. We are based in Missouri, and I hate to say my geography is not super good, so I don't know exactly how far away you are from us. But good morning. All right, so the next thing I want to show y'all, and I'm gonna do this all on this tab now, is a very exciting feature that we have for Never Expire. If you came to us from another platform like Consign Pro, this feature should sound familiar. The idea is that sometimes you will have uh, inventory or for a certain category or certain consigners that really shouldn't ever expire or become store property. So we have the concept of never expire added into the system. So what that means is instead of having your 90-day expiration period or whatever you have entered for your store, plus any grace period days, instead, what will happen is if you have a consigner, so let's go into a consigner account, you'll say have a setting that says inventory added is defaulted to never expire. So once we turn that setting on, from that point forward, inventory that is created under this consigner's account will have no expiration date. So let's do a demo. We're going to add inventory here. And when I add a new item, you'll see that there is no expire date entered for this consigner. This is helpful for consigners who have high-end items or you've negotiated a special contract with, and you want those items to, again, never become store property or never reach that expiration status. This is particularly common in stores that have their policy set that at the end of the expiration period, items become store property, so they convert to store inventory. And this just exempts this particular consigner from that. If you want to manually set an expiration date, so you want to have an exception to that never expire rule on your consigner, you can manually set an expiration date and you'll be able to enter that. So that's how that works. And that will be reflected on your reports. You'll see it display in your inventory. There will be no expiration date and everything else will behave as normal. This is also available at the category level. So if we go to settings categories and we go into a category, you'll see we have default newly entered items to never expire. It behaves the same way as the consigner setting. It's items entered from that point forward will default to never expire and having that blank expiration date. So like I said, if you've come to us from another platform, that feature should look familiar and should simplify some processes for people. I know that some of these stores currently are going in here on a regular basis and bumping expiration periods out manually, and this removes those steps. All right. The next thing I want to show y'all is something that impacts every single one of our stores, and it is cash rounding at checkout. So what we've done here is we have given you the ability to enable rounding of cash payments and cash transactions. So you will turn that on in settings. So it's settings, options, cash rounding. If you have a multi-location store, you'll need to set this in each location. So you can see here I have additional locations that I would need to configure that setting for. The rounding strategy gives you three options. You'll need to check your local laws to see if there's been a specific rounding method defined. We're going to use symmetrical rounding, and here's how that works. For one and transactions ending in 1 or 2, we round down, and 3 or 4, we round up. 6 and 7 also go down, and 8 and 9 go up. Anything that ends on 5, or multiple of 5, so 5, 10, or 0, we're going to leave alone because our step size is set to 5 cents. We do have some stores that are in regions that round all the way up to 10 cents, so we do have that as an option as well. So now that that's configured, we're going to hit save and exit, and let's go into a terminal and see if we can't get some funky prices going. So I'm going to use a shortcut here to enter an item on the go. Let's see if we can't get exactly what we're looking for. All right. So with that buyer's fee, that comes out to $11.44, which gives us a total of $10.58. That's something that's going to need to be rounded. So when we hit complete transaction, you'll see here that we've added an exact change button. So if someone gives you exactly the amount of money, you can hit that and it will auto enter in the amount of the transaction as cash, save you some clicks and some typing. But you can also do this and it will auto round it to a whole number. So it's 1260 now instead of 1258. So the rounding is going to be determined by your settings and it's on the transaction total. So it's post-tax. Good questions. So in the settings here, if we go back to settings, options, cash rounding, you have the option to always round up, always round down, or do symmetrical. And again, this is for cash only. Card payments are always exact. And we have separated out that rounding amount so that you can see it on your receipts. So let's go do a transaction again. Let's do our shortcut. There we go. And let's make sure our printer's set up how we want it. Yeah, we'll use desktop printer. Complete transaction. We'll pay $15. That price is going to change. And if we do complete transaction, you can see cash rounding. We define it on the receipts so that there's not a situation where customers are wondering why the amount on their receipt does not match the amount that was collected or given to them. Those cash rounding values are also available in your reports in all of the essential areas. I'm not going to bore you by going through and just clicking through and running a bunch of reports and showing you that, but the impacted reports do have that change in place. So I know that exact change feature has been highly requested. I know cash rounding has been quite impactful for especially US-based stores over the last, I want to say 6 months or so. Okay. This next feature is one that I'm very excited to get to show off to y'all. It's one that um, would have made my life when I was working in store quite a bit easier. I'm excited to make y'all's lives easier as a result of that experience. So if your store has a return waiting period, say you have a return period of 7 days, some stores do 1 day, 2 days, it depends on your policy. Um, Today, if you enter that value, what it does is it hides those items on consignor access until they're outside of that return waiting period so that you don't get the consignor's hopes up, that they've got that money waiting for them in the event that uh, the item gets returned. What we've done now is we've connected that to the payment date of the inventory after it's sold. So now, if an item sold today based off of my settings, the consignor would get credited on the 20th of April instead. And the way that that works is if we go into the terminal, let's sell an item. And no need for rounding here, no receipt. We'll skip that part. And if we go, now that we've sold that item, if we go look at this account and we look at our account activity, ignore this one, it's future dated, so it's in 2031. But you'll see that this item that I just sold is going to receive a payment date of April 20th. So these two items that I've sold this morning are not going to hit the consignor's balance until they're outside of that return period. So that ensures that you're not having to do any manual workarounds to make sure that you're avoiding paying out on items that are still within that return window. And we're doing all of that math for you automatically. And then once that day comes around, we will automatically add that to your balance so the consignor can be paid out for it. All right. While I let y'all digest that information, I see we have a question about cash rounding. So cash rounding will affect end of day reconcile. So cash rounding is taken into account on your end of day. So yes, that should help make that math work out a bit easier and make more sense. And once that day comes around, our consigners typically notice if items are missing from their space, and if they don't see it on their account, they'll wonder if it was removed or stolen. So it sounds like you are visiting or from a vendor or antique mall. Typically, we don't see stores of that type with a return period. Are you the exception to that rule? And have I correctly identified your store type? Yes. Okay. So what if you have a return waiting period? How long is your return period? I see. Um, so you're asking, let me make sure that we're on the same page. You're asking if you were to put in place a return period, um, how to deal with that reconciliation of vendors noticing that items are not in their booth or their space, but they're also not reflecting in consignor access. Okay. Um, so to be honest, that's not a scenario that I've had come up. Usually stores explain that policy if they do have it. You can put a note on the message board in consignor access. But again, usually we don't see vendor malls with a return policy. Usually it's final sale. And that seems to be what your policy is right now. But I will take note of that scenario and see if there is a better answer out there that I don't have at my fingertips. And if there is, I will pass it along to our lovely, brilliant marketing team, and we will include it in our messages with the recorded version of this webinar. Okay. All right. We have just one more change here that I want to share with you. And you may have noticed it already. It's hiding for you up here in the top right corner. Um, we have usually a couple of different ways for you to get help listed up here in this header bar. And we've added another way for you to get help. And so we've condensed them all into this one Get Help section. And when you click on it, it's going to expand and give you three options. So now we've added the option for live support. So this is using Simple Assist, so you can get live answers to your questions. You can also submit a ticket or visit our help center to read the articles that we've prepared around the features in the system. So you've got these three options, and we've just condensed them under this one Get Help button so that there's less text for you to have to read through up here unless you need to go and get some assistance with the system. And again, I'm going to pull up the new UI so that you can see it one more time. But it's exactly the same. All of the tabs are in the same order. It looks just a little bit different. And again, we're taking more advantage of the space we have on the screen. All right. Do we have any questions for me today? All right. I think you're talking about the difference between this and this. Um, any idea when the new interface is going to launch and the old one's going away? That is a very good question. We're still trying to make sure that we have the processes ironed out for the new screen. It is a bit of a shift for some users of the system who've been around for a while to go from having the activity here to nested down here with the inventory. Um, that is a good question. I don't have an answer ready for you offhand, but as soon as we have one, we'll reach out. When does cash rounding become available? Well, I'm very excited to tell you that early next week you should see cash rounding becoming available in your store. Um, well, thank you for your feedback, Kim. I'm so glad that you have joined us for the webinar. The goal here is to make sure y'all know what we're putting out in the system before it hits your computer screens at your stores. That way you can prepare ahead of time, know what's going to change, and be able to train your employees. So again, Reagan, Monday morning is when I would expect to see that US time.